Good morning and an early welcome to everybody tuning into the stream. This is Chaos TV's coverage of the IeSF 2013 World Championships. It is day number 2, which means we're into the bracket stage. I am James Stress O'Leary, joined by Panky once again for all of the action this weekend, and we've got a great first game for you today. The Netherlands versus Belgium here in our quarter-final round.
Yeah, there's a lot of familiar faces in this game too, and a lot of banter, shall we say, backwards and forwards between them in the pre-game lobby. So they're well and truly awake. It's not sure the same could be said for us, is it?
I was going to say, glad somebody is, but you say a lot of familiar faces. There's also a lot of Lowland Lions in this game. Like,
yeah, Lowland Lions alumni, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But we have gone through the bans phase already, as you've seen coming up on your screen. They did start maybe without us all being completely ready, but Renekton Shen Gragas banned out on the side from the Netherlands. Zed, Ari, Elise banned out by Belgium, and that is not a surprise when you take into account the 2 games that Morsu had yesterday on Zed. So no surprising bans out on this one, and I wonder whether we'll see the Syndra ban, or sorry, Syndra support, or whether I'm Heat and a couple of the other players on Belgium will be expecting that already.
I was surprised that we saw those Zed plays yesterday, to be completely honest, so it's a little more familiar to see him banned out in this situation. Robo currently hovering on the Jungle Poppy. It's something that Maluno streamed last week. He went all day Jungle Poppy, played 12 games straight at a 33% win rate. It didn't go too well, but he said he had a lot of fun doing so that's something. But there's Shyvana lock-in is a bit more expected and standard, and to be honest, awesome. But yes, that Syndra lock-in. Hoodboss has it. Hoodboss is the mid laner, but will it switch down to Kialis or will he keep it is the question. I suspect it's going down to Kialis because he wouldn't pick it this early, and this blind being Syndra so lack of an escape that he could get counterpicked for the mid lane. So maybe trying to bait something out from this Belgium lineup that he can then give the Syndra away and picks himself something else.
Now, I have a couple of reservations about this. If I'm not mistaken, I'm Heat has played alongside this Syndra support quite a few times over on Lowland Lions, as you said. So one of the things about having a specific team composition that you're a team that have done a lot is you'll also know the limitations of it. You'll know when it's failed, you know when lanes haven't quite gone so well. So I think picking this into a teammate of yours that normally is on your team when you run this is pretty ballsy, in my opinion. Yeah,
to say the least. But it does look like their opponents, the Belgium side, have picked themselves a support Annie in response. So that's 2 traditionally AP caster mids up or down there or up there, depending on where they put these duo lanes in the support role. So it's a lot of AP harass. Now, we saw the Kazakhs and Oriana has been locked in. That will round out the Netherlands team. It's very similar to what we saw yesterday, actually, is they took some very convincing wins in their group. This one might not be such an easy game for the Netherlands, as they didn't really face too much competition yesterday from, I believe it was France, Spain and Austria were in that group. Belgium, on the other hand, have got very good early picks here when you look at the Aatrox Lee Sin combination. We did see that work to great effect yesterday as well. So we've seen the damage that can come out from those two in the early game really can catch duo lanes off guard. And will Kawhi Storm lock in that Zyra? I guess that might be going up to I'm Heat. They do... Ooh, okay. Now that's a pick I actually quite like. That is different. Interesting. I'm not sure what too much to make of it, to be honest. He's obviously going to go in that mid lane. It's going to be against that Oriana. We did see Gragas do it a lot of times previously, but that's why he's been banned.
Karma's a champion that doesn't get played a lot, but every time I hear a pro talk about Karma, they always talk about how good her kit is, how it has just about everything you'd want from a champion. but she hasn't quite found her place. Some people tried her top. Crazy people played her in the jungle. I say crazy, to be honest. It's just Diamond being Diamond, but
it worked quite well, to be
yeah,
honest.
I know it did. That's the thing, but nobody's been overall consistent on playing Karma quite yet. So I wonder whether mid lane will be the place that Karma finally finds residency.
To be honest, I'm not sure so much as it's the mid lane too as it is the team comp. You've got to have that support with her, and I mean, we've got a very aggressive start again from the Belgium team, from the Flemish, I think we say Flemish, from the Flemish team. And then, like in the Lee Sin and the Aatrox, those two are going to be very strong early, and they're going to look to stick to targets. Now, with the move speed bus from Karma, that's going to be quite easy.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I completely agree with that. And again, you just talk about the early game team. We saw yesterday that teams that picked later game team comps against the Netherlands tended to not do so well. So I really like picking Aatrox and Lee Sin here for that early game advantage, as well as the rest of the team. They should be able to hold the aggression fairly well in these lanes. And as we talked about, some of these players are very, very used to each other. So they will know the play styles. They will have a little bit more understanding, perhaps, of their opponents in this game. For those of you just joining us, this is the IeSF 2013 World Championships. This is our quarterfinals round. I believe there's plenty of other games going on while we watch this one. Korea and Switzerland are currently duking it out. Finland and Spain, as well as Russia and Denmark. Now, this is Netherlands and Belgium. We are into game one of our best of three. Netherlands starting on the blue side, Belgium on the red. Good luck, have fun's coming out. And this is sure to be a great game.
Certainly interested to see where it goes, and I'm glad I can read the chat off the stream, because I'd imagine there'll be some amusing comments going backwards and forwards. These guys are all good friends, and I'm sure they spent last night out socializing, shall we say.
So did the Philippines team, though. Remember yes. That one, because that was their first question, was where can we find a drink? So
yes.
Playing the game is only half of it, apparently. So
that's the beauty of events, isn't it?
Right, looks like the Belgian team are grouped up. Anid has charged that passive up, so if they do look to invade here, they can get the Flash Incinerate if they can manage to catch him out, but Netherlands are a little wise to it. They've already got wards out defensively. They're going to be able to spot the Belgian team. They're not going to be in any trouble of any straight up invades like that, but Belgian team are looking to be fairly cohesive here with this opening. Recall comes out, and it actually looks like they're going to swap their 2v1 lane around. Caitlyn and Syndra will be in the bottom lane for the Netherlands. Annie and Varus up to the top for Belgium.
It's an interesting one. We'll see whether it plays off. Of course, there's a lot more range in that bottom lane, that Syndra Caitlyn, than there is in Annie Varus. Kha'Zix does excel at close range. He, of course, can use that Q ability at slightly more than his melee range, so it's not going to be too bad once they get up in his face, although the majority of the time he's just going to be trying to fight for CS. It'll be interesting to see how he evolves his Void Spikes. I would sort of like to see him evolve them first, just to help him get CS and help him clear under towers, but he may end up losing way too much damage from it, so I don't imagine he will.
As we've seen time and time again, Belgium are going to put Aatrox alongside Lee Sin in that jungle just to get that first camp with some of the experience and then head to lane. I'm a little not surprised, but I'm wondering why they... Well, I guess it's because they want to do that wolf camp and get Aatrox some extra experience, but we talked yesterday about how much damage comes from Lee Sin plus a champion like Aatrox who has fairly strong early game, how they can end up controlling a lane quite well, even in the 2v2 situation this early on in the game. And it means that Lee Sin's going to have to come all the way back down and either run for quite a while and not be farming, or head to the top lane, but it does look like he will cross all the way through his jungle and head down towards Aatrox to try and cover there.
Yeah, so we'll have to see exactly how that plays out, because there's a lot of kill potential in that bottom lane. That pairing, once Aatrox has that Lee Sin in support, could easily land just like this on Kialis.
Yeah, very nice Sonic Wave, Resonating Strike, and the Dark Flight, and that's what we were talking about with the damage from there. I was completely wrong. That was brilliant timing from Skullomania as Syndra actually came forward to drop that ward into the Tribush. So really nice timing there from Belgium.
Yeah, just heading forward. Of course, we wanted to get a ward in that bush. You needed to get a ward in that bush because you knew Lee Sin was coming. But a little bit quicker on the draw was Skullomania. And they managed to nuke down that very, very squishy Syndra support. So, not quite going to plan, shall we say, as the games yesterday went with Syndra. That was a little bit one-sided, to say the least. But this Flemish squad definitely on the ball and easily picked up that first blood. We now see Lee Sin in the mid lane going in on Orianna.
Yeah, we'll land that Tempest and follow up with those auto attacks that have the red buff applied. But Hood Boss will get out of this one alive. Didn't even force the flash, but that's going to be a big wave pushing into the tower now. So we'll lose quite a bit of experience as he goes back, since it is one of the cannon minion waves.
See, the thing here with Lee Sin, we saw him come out like that. We saw him pick up that quick, easy first blood because of the timing. Shyvana's not really going to be able to do the same. She doesn't have that luxury. She can't gank quite like that. So, to really offset that first blood, to try and counteract that kill or punish Aatrox any further, perhaps, something's got to be done by Metalex and Kialis, really. They can't have any help from Shyvana. But while Lee Sin's doing all this, while he's ganking, while he's being in these exposed positions, we're not getting any response from Shyvana. She's not invading, she's not taking the other side of the jungle, she's not pressuring one of the mid laners. Okay, she can't necessarily kill them, but she could at least run at them and do some damage. So, nothing much is happening from Robro. He did, as you can now see, try come here in this bottom lane. He's sitting in that bush, hoping that Aatrox might walk into him, but he's not going to, and his bottom lane is doing nothing but push it under turret. So he's just wasting a lot of time down here. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just going to sit at that tower because he knows if they do commit to diving him, as he drops into that Bloodwell passive, they have to commit so much under that tower to then pick up the kill that he's bound to get at least one, if not two, depending on how long they stay under there. So Shyvana does waste a fair amount of time there in that bottom lane. And now it looks like it's the turn of Skullomania to come down towards the bottom lane, and we've seen him already stamp his effect onto this one. Let's have a look whether he can get stuff done. Did he manage to avoid that ward? I believe he might have snuck around the side. So
he should have snuck around the edges, especially as they knew it now. He's been spotted, but ultimately it will just help with the CS and keep Kialis and Metalex at bay. How's IM Heat doing? How's Fresh Heat? Other than being up by about 4 or 5 CS, which isn't too catastrophic.
Yeah, it does have that double Doran's ring. Forced Orianna actually to go Negatron Cloak fairly early on in this one, so anytime you can force your lane counterpart to build resistance earlier rather than damage is always a good thing.
Negatron's Cloak?
Null Magic
early in the morning
is the word I was looking for. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, they have picked up a kill onto Annie, as Shyvana did have her ultimate manage to get in and pick up that kill. It is early in the morning. They're close. They Null Magic Mantle.
So, nice play from Shyvana. Kha'Zix did, admittedly, the majority of the work.
Yes, and now they are pushing on towards this top tower. Meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, the answer is coming from Belgium. They've taken that tower down very low here. And it looked like Orianna managed to get IM Heat to... well, no, IM Heat, sorry, was down in that bottom lane, of course, roaming. But Orianna has managed to push in towards the tower now for IM Heat. And close that CS gap, 54 to 47 in the early game. Stun does land in the bottom lane onto the VCOM fan. They do take down that turret, and Metalex might be caught out here. Ignite is taking the follow-up from Skullomania, will be able to pick up the kill as Kialis is a little bit too healthy, manages to get back behind the inner tower.
Yeah, and again, that's that combo, that Aatrox Lee Sin. Very, very powerful in these early levels. And yes, okay, he flashed away, but that Sonic Wave had already landed. So Socialmedia was easily able to follow up for the retort. Now, I mean, there's the dragon standing. There is no vision on it from either side, but don't know where Shyvana, or they have a rough idea of where Shyvana is, and that is on the bottom half of the map. So Aatrox choosing to base instead of actually follow up and finish the dragon. But when you've just picked up 2 quick towers, don't necessarily need it.
Right, lots of recalls going down. Looks like we're at that point of the game where people are going to head back and start to buy. BF Sword already on Caitlyn, although she is a little bit down in CS to a lane counterpart. Varus actually holding 2.3k here. He is backing, and I wonder what he'll pick up. BF Sword mirrors Caitlyn alongside Boots and a dagger. So building towards those Berserker's Greaves is Varus. And, alright. Bilgewater Cutlass picked up on Aatrox. Brutalizer on Kha'Zix. So lots of, as you'd expect, damage coming out on these top laners. Not quite the tank versus tank matchup that we've seen from champions like Renekton recently. So this might be a little bit more explosive when we get towards the team fights, as there's a fair amount of damage now on both teams.
Yeah, we're definitely going to see a couple of people drop very quickly when these fights starts, whether it be an AD carry with one of these assassins on top of it, or even if it is one of these assassins, because yes, they're a lot of damage, but they don't have much survivability. So should some early crowd control land, like a stun from Syndra, followed up by Orianna's burst, they can drop very, very quickly themselves. So they're going to have to be very careful, and these fights are going to come down to some important positioning, as opposed to when we've normally been seeing some more traditional top laners as the bottom laners start to fight.
Quiet Storm has been caught out here. Brobo is under the tower though, so will take a lot of damage. Chains of Corruption was starting to spread from Kialis to Metalex, but they didn't manage to lock. War Jump goes forward, Sonic Wave into Resonating Strike. Tempest does land. There is the piercing arrow from Varus to pick that one up. That's a 2-for-1. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, there's a bit of an engagement, and in mid as well. There's a lot of action around. It was actually overall a 3-for-1 in favour of Belgium there. They take their lead to 5 kills to 2 and extend the gold lead to 3,500.
There we go. I'm just going to have, like, we don't have those traditional tanky bruises, so we're not going to get someone like a Renekton that's running in and just giving zeros and taking out all sorts of damage. We've got squishy burst assassins instead, so we expect things to be over very rapidly, and that's exactly what it was. That bottom lane, Shyvana hiding in that bush, waiting, even with Annie face checking. Annie dropped in a matter of seconds, but then a very quick response from Lee Sin and Aatrox with their damage. And well, a well played came out from Hoodbus in that mid lane after Fresh Heat managed to knock him down using that Karma, and well, that's exactly what it was. It was very well played. See Karma taking down that Orianna in fancy fashion. They did both blow their flashes for it, but kill's a kill.
Kill is a kill indeed, and again we were talking about how good Karma's kit is, and just saw it used to good effect there. Orianna does have to be a little bit careful here because there's a pairing of Aatrox and Lee Sin coming towards her once ahead. War Jump comes forward, doesn't quite land the Sonic Wave, but it's enough of a distraction to allow Karma and Aatrox to pick up that tower, and that is an overall gain there for Belgium. They are looking very strong here, and they're a team we did not watch yesterday at all, so maybe we missed out another one of our top contenders here for the IeSF World Championship.
Definitely so. I mean, these were two of the teams which I would have probably, like looking at the rosters, would have probably put right up there with my predictions. They are known players, they have been around a lot, and they are big in the EUS Challenger scene and solo queue ladder, so they're definitely familiar faces, but I did not expect the Belgium side to really dominate quite this hard, so I'd like to see perhaps the Dutch team wake up a little bit, see if we can turn something around a little bit later on, but they are down by 5,000 gold at 12 minutes, so that is already quite a large hill to climb.
Maybe the Netherlands team spent a little too much time with the Philippines yesterday, who knows. Nevertheless, they still very much so in this. This is a best of 3, of course, remember. As the Netherlands, we've seen running a team composition that can easily come back in. Their team fight is significant if they were to land that Shyvana ultimate into the shockwave and then start picking people up with Morsu's Kha'Zix. There's the potential to snowball back into this, and we've seen games come back from closer than this, but from further than this. Of course, we've seen games come back from closer, but Ice Storm does step on a trap that will, of course, reveal him, as the duo bots are finally.
He was trying to steal away the big golem that Caitlyn was doing, and to stop him doing so, Kialis picked it up, brought it all the way into the lane, threw it in this little bush, and then Caitlyn killed it. That was brilliant.
Oh, Syndra. Just one of those things you can't do with any other champion, though. But, yeah. Socialmedia and the VCOM fan are hanging out in this blue buff area. I think they might be waiting for Morsu to come towards blue. I guess they're waiting for waiting for somebody to come along here, but they're spending a fair amount of time just standing around. They must just be talking about what happened last night, but nevertheless, they are wasting a little bit of time on that one. They do, of course, have all of the outer towers down, which means they are now trying to establish as much control over the opponent's jungle as possible. Which, you can see the wards coming out in that bottom lane. Looks like it's a team effort here on the wards. Even Aatrox is picking up some to make sure they can establish as much control as possible.
So, I'm not sure if it's particularly apparent, Tris, but once you get out of silver, everyone's store unlocks wards, so anyone on the team can buy them.
Trust me, even at plat that doesn't happen. I wish it happened. I think it's as soon as you start going, let's get 5 people together and play this game. What do we need? Oh, wards. Got it. But, yeah.
So, we did see a nice, sneaky, quick, rapid dragon pickup then by the... It was the Belgium side, I imagine, earlier on, and that allows it to respawn in a minute and a half. Don't know what I'm chatting about. I completely missed that dragon death.
Oh, it's okay. You can pin this one down to your it's early.
I haven't finished my first mug of tea yet. I'm not operating properly.
It's okay. I've read items as the wrong thing already, so I think as far as things go, you've still got a couple left before before anyone complains. Anyway, right, back to this mid lane. I'm Heat and Socialmedia looking to push this one out, but Bro is here. We'll go aggressive onto Hood Boss. Flash comes back. The kick was slightly delayed. I'm Heat can't quite follow up on this one as Bro is now chasing on towards Socialmedia. Here comes Morsu from the side. Gives him the jump away, actually. There's the dark flight in towards them. Will manage to safeguard his way, but it wasn't quite safe enough. As the VCOM fan now forced to turn and run, does have his passive available, but I'm Heat doesn't look like he wants to commit to this one quite yet. He's looking for the angle to maybe land another flame, but with the two of them there, that will be enough to deter the Netherlands team.
Metalex just got a little bit nuked by that bear landing on his head. He just finished off by
Kialis flashes forward. That's
what happens when your AD carry tanks the tower for that dive. Means he's very low on the retreat.
Kawaii might still be in trouble here as Bro has joined. Burnout is ticking. That is going to be another kill there in that bottom lane. Of course, doesn't help when the AD carry also steps on a trap. So that one was one of those sneaky ones just in the edge of the bush. So pretty difficult to spot. But another kill picked up there. Bro now goes to 4-1. Most of the kills actually for the Netherlands are all on that Shyvana, which means she's going to get pretty tanky. But it does mean that the rest of the the Netherlands team is lacking a little bit of damage where they maybe would have liked it with a couple of early kills on Orianna and Kha'Zix, perhaps.
The play from Lee Sin in the mid lane, while it was that traditional insect-fashioned awesome engage, landed the Q onto Orianna, dashed in, put a ward down behind her, shielded to the ward, tried to kick her out. He added an extra step, and that was dash to behind her, and then flash further behind her, and then kick her, and then run for your life into Kha'Zix. But the extra flash was a little bit unnecessary, and if he'd have kept it, he quite likely would have been able to get out of there alive a lot earlier on.
Yeah, and Dragon became invisible on my screen once again. I
I
do
was just
love
thinking
that
that
bug.
too.
I
Thought
was
they'd
like,
killed it
wow,
and
that
I
was...
completely missed it. I was like, what?
Well, I saw them get to Dragon and then it instantly disappeared. I was like, that is the fastest Dragon clear I think I've ever seen. But all 5 members of the Belgian team have grouped around down here, and I don't believe that pink ward has spotted out the sight ward from the Netherlands, so they have full vision on this. And here goes Shyvana into the fight. Doesn't manage to get the smite steal, but how much can they pick up from the tail end of this fight? I Am Heat will pick up the first one. Chains of Corruption will lock onto Morsu. That's a big shockwave onto 3. Morsu trying to get away, just manages to dodge the Blades of Torment and the Piercing Arrow. And it looks like the Netherlands have managed to trade 1 for 1, but can they follow up with even more? Morsu is trying to get away. He won't quite be able to dodge that Piercing Arrow, and it's a 2 for 1 overall.
2 for 1, and the Dragon went to the Belgium side. It was a nice attempt by the Dutch squad, but Caitlyn was just a long way out of position. She was stuck over the edge of the wall. So yes, she was trying to use her Pillar of a Peacemaker to fire into the Dragon Pit and help the smite. But as soon as that happened and then the fight started, she wasn't attacking him for a long time. Then when she did get over the wall and started doing the fight, she could only hit Annie, who was there trying to zone them out. Annie, yes, okay, she lost her life for that when Shyvana joined in, but it did mean Metalex was not in range to hit the other 4 members of the Belgium squad and just did no damage to them for the entirety of the fight.
And the Netherlands really need to start getting this Orianna-Shyvana combo working for them. They had it fairly well there. The Shyvana ultimate went in, caused them to group, but they didn't have the ball on because of the way they were split coming into that team fight. So Hoodboss couldn't get that 3000 yellow shockwave off. But if they can start to get better team fights as this goes on, they still have a chance. But Kha'Zix and Aatrox are about even on CS, but all of that global gold means that Aatrox is 1000 gold ahead, and then when you look at the AD carries, it's a very similar situation, coming up to nearly 2000 between them. So there's a significant amount of gold that's come from those towers and that dragon that puts the Belgian team ahead. And really the Netherlands need to try and stop Belgium from becoming too snowbally here, as the Netherlands, I feel, can end up scaling pretty well if they start getting more kills onto their carries.
Belgium side hovering in that Baron. I think they were, they were hovering there, waiting to see what kind of response they got from the Dutch team. There was only 1 ward there, but they still decided to engage it because of the slow response from the Dutch side. But again, they did then respond as soon as they realized the engage had actually happened, and did manage to scare the Belgian team away. They are now all collapsing in towards this mid lane, towards this Dutch side. They've pushed it up towards that tier 1 tower. Of course, they know that's coming. They are back out and they're plenty safe. But it's a nice little attempt. It's a probe, and it's something that this Belgian side need. They are early game champions. They are Lee Sin, Aatrox. They are starting to lose their damage spikes. They're starting to fall off a little bit. And that's when the Dutch side is going to come into their own and start being able to take some of these fights. So if they could have snuck in that Baron without the vision from the Dutch team, they would have been able to keep this ball rolling, keep that advantage up for as long as possible. But good warning from the Dutch side, knowing that's a possibility, knowing these champions have a lot of damage and can do that Baron very early on. They were on the ball and ready to react when they saw them down there.
Yeah, and that was what I was looking for out of Annie as she went back. Actually, Aatrox is going to go aggressive onto Kha'Zix. Up in this top lane, Kha'Zix took quite a few tower shots from this one. The passive still available on the VCOM fan is Morsu trying to get as much back from this as he can before leaving, but here comes Socialmedia, gonna try and land the Sonic Wave, can't quite get it, and actually finds himself a Shyvana for his troubles. Dark Flight comes forward, they do pick up the first kill on to Morsu, and now they look to chase Shyvana. There is an Orianna around, but I Am Heat and Kawaii Storm are en route to this lane. How much can Belgium get done here?
Kha'Zix could have got out of there a long time ago. They just kind of hung around a bit too long. When he first died, took too many turret shots, and Shyvana had to save him. He should have left right then. He stayed, he used his Void Spikes on some creeps and tried to use that to lifesteal and sustain back up. Honestly, he should have just run away at that point. They didn't have a tower, so he was exposed from there, and they have a very lacking vision on that half of the map, so he knew there's a very real possibility of a collapse on him. he didn't leave, he stayed, he lost his life for it, and now they may be losing the Baron. There are 4 members of the Dutch team here, but it's going very low.
Yeah, speaking of collapse, here comes the Dutch team. Purple team will get that, so the Belgian team have secured it. Metalex puts himself in a pretty dire position as he gets stunned right in the middle of 4 members of the Belgian team, and now the chase is on as Hoodboss tries to throw out that dissonance to get himself away from this one, but Morsu is back, and this is the kind of situation where Kha'Zix will thrive if he can get in there and get the damage down. There are so many members of the Belgian team that are on low health, but it looks like they're going to be able to lifesteal and fall back fast enough to get away from this.
Yeah, he was closing in from the respawn. Could have perhaps rotated around behind him if they chased towards that mid lane, but they did not. They managed to play a smart head up towards Wraiths, and he could not get back in on them in time. Bro got across into that Baron pit just about the right moment, but outsmited by Socialmedia once again, just like down at the Dragon, meaning that Baron, of course, goes over to Belgian squad, and now they've kept it on some very important targets. Varus was taken quite low by Shyvana, and with a little bit of help, including the Cinder ultimate, he got even lower. Didn't quite die thanks to that Baron regeneration and a little bit of lifesteal though, so just the constantly attacking that power means he's kept himself on his feet, kept himself keeping damage, and was able to chase the remaining Dutch players out and away. Now, using this Baron buff, using this strength they have, Belgian squad can keep pushing onto its tier 2 turret in the mid lane.
Yeah, they have got that very low. I believe they will be able to get that next time. They do have a minion wave there. Netherlands looking to defend, but Morsu is pulled back, and I think they've spotted that as the reaction from the Netherlands as they started to angle their way forward meant that they do pick up that tower pretty much uncontested there. Looks like Belgium are going to stay as 5, head towards that dragon, and then maybe look to swing it down towards the bottom lane to pick up the tower. That is what it looks like they're going to do. A couple of them are going to head to blue, get that over to I'm Heat. Make sure you can throw out those inner flames even more often, and make sure you can land the slows.
Yeah, Akama's got a lot of damage. She can be very, very powerful, and especially how fed this specific one is. But the cooldowns aren't the most team fight friendly, if we're being completely honest. So keeping her up there with that Chalice of Harmony and blue buff will really help them out. We now see the Dutch team pushing up this mid lane to the tier 2 turret, and they actually have outpositioned the Belgium side here, forcing a 3-man recall in that bottom lane. They may lose this inhibitor turret for it.
That is a really, really nice play by the Dutch team. They're managing to spot the Belgium team were out of position, of course, taking down Dragon and the bottom lane, but they don't quite get that inhibitor turret, but they forced an end to the aggression out of the Belgian team now, although they are still under a little bit of danger. There's very nice stun out from Kialis, but it's not enough to get him out of range from that Sonic Wave follow-up. Belgium once again back on the aggression here. They're pushing down this middle lane, and see what they can get done, but they don't quite have the Dragon Rage kick up available yet, so they can't quite get one of the members out from this base.
Valahid took a lot of damage there though, so this siege is going to be a little bit more challenging for the Belgium side. But he has lifesteal again, and he has that Baron buff, so that quick wave comes through, and he managed to lifesteal the majority of it back alive again. But with the good wave clear that's on the Dutch side, I don't imagine they should really have too much issue defending this turret with both Caitlyn, Varus, Caitlyn, Oriana, and Syndra. They can wipe these creepers out pretty rapidly. But it's just a case of waiting for that engage from the Belgium side. You need to be careful not to get jumped on, kicked out, as you mentioned, by Lee Sin, or worse, dived in on by Aatrox and burst down by a Tibbers. And I think the Belgium squad realised that's a very real possibility. Oh, sorry, it's a very low possibility of landing that engage and making that happen. And now that their Baron buff is worn off as well, they don't have the sustain they need for a siege like that. And they do back off, rotate towards the top lane, because the tier 2 turret is still standing there, and that's a bit of an easier pickup.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that they did have there, was other options. You sometimes see a team kind of stumble and wait around in a lane far too long trying to siege it, but Good reaction from the Belgian team. They will spot that. And there goes the Dark Flight in towards it. Aatrox takes quite a bit. Metalex actually gets kicked away from the fight. Kialis will get dropped. The Shockwave is going to take the Belgian team pretty low. But the Netherlands managed to... the Netherlands lose one there, as they did not quite get the Belgian passive from Aatrox. Not sure why the passive is Belgian, but Aatrox is Belgian in this case nonetheless.
Everyone in Belgium can revive, apparently.
That would be pretty good for the old statistics on a census, that one. Looking at death rate. Well, everybody only died once this year, so nobody died at all.
9,000 gold lead then for this Belgium side, which honestly, it sounds like a lot more than it really is. The champions, especially Lee Sin, starting to drop off on the damage front. He's just becoming more of a utility bot now, and his kick is his main function more than anything else. That execute is still there in his Sonic Wave, his Q ability, but still, unless you can get people low in the first place, that's not going to do too much, so he needs to rely on the rest of his team. Aatrox is still getting stronger and stronger. He's got that Blade of the Ring King up now, and that Randuin, so he's going to start getting tanky, and I imagine, and I'd like to see a Guardian Angel as his next item, just to make himself even more annoying, because his damage output is there, just needs to be in their face a bit more, and needs to hang around a bit. Karma's got a ridiculous amount of damage, it's almost disgusting, so she's in a very, very nice position. And Varus, that percentage health damage is just getting stronger and stronger, and he's still yet to buy any attack speed as well. He's getting more damage items using those piercing arrows as much as possible.
Yeah, and the way that the kills are distributed on to the Belgian team is actually really nice for them. If they were in this situation with more kills on Lee Sin or Aatrox, it would probably be a lot more difficult to close this game out, because as you were saying, they don't scale so well, the damage starts to drop off, and with kills on Varus and Karma, giving them the itemization that they have, as Heat is chasing on towards Kialis, I believe. Ooh, he's not actually going to get that one. It's a nice stun from Kialis. You can see already just how much he's played the champion, always landing those stuns. But with the extra kills, and therefore extra items onto Varus and Karma, it means that they actually have a lot more damage than you might expect at this point.
Just keeping those Baron wards up now that it's back alive again. They do not want this Belgium squad to be sneaking that away again. Dutch team are in a very good position right now, and could, with some nice positioning, with some good coordination, easily win the next team fight despite this gold disadvantage. But if that Baron goes over to the Belgium side, then their chances diminish pretty rapidly, and they know that. So keeping them on their toes, keeping that vision up, and trying to keep the pressure on those lanes, as well as farm up that Caitlyn in the process. She's starting to get a fair bit of damage, but she really needs a Last Whisper pretty soon. Let's just see, let me check my gold count. She's just bought something, no static shift, so she really needs that Last Whisper up as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I'm not sure when the Vamp Scepter was actually picked up by Caitlyn. That's an oversight on my part for not checking it, but you said you just finished the static shiv, so quite a way off that Last Whisper indeed. And especially when you take into account that there's luckily the Iron Solari, which is going to give the extra armor for Lee Sin, and of course the Randuin's Omen, as you were saying. So 236 CS to 183 up in that top lane, but 2 kills on Aatrox and the global gold does of course put Aatrox ahead on that one. Good game out of the VCOM fan actually so far. Hasn't died, and with an involvement of 8 kills in this game, he's had quite a big effect so far. We'll see whether that will continue here, as Socialmedia has showed himself in that bottom lane, and that might signal the Netherlands team to maybe start pushing out a little bit more now that they know that there's no possibility of Belgian grouping as 5, but of course with Hoodboss down there as well, that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, the Oracles was up on Syndra for a while, but he's got to be very careful while moving around to clear out wards with that. There is a response Oracle on Annie too, but both supports are still very, very squishy and need to make sure they stick with their team when they're clearing these wards. So as a result, both teams are kind of in a stalemate here in this middle lane. And taking Lee Sin as their escort now through that banana bush as they plant some more deep wards on the Dutch side of the map, looking to bait them into this Baron pit again. Aatrox standing in that death bush for a while, looking to catch someone out as they come a bit too close. I think that the Dutch team, realizing this is a potential, they're looking to just outposition them and shove that mid lane pressure instead. Has worked, pulled the Belgium side off the Baron, but will they live to fight?
Yeah, Kialis is now getting chased by the VCOM fan. We'll use that unleashed power onto him, but it doesn't do all that much damage. Morsu gets kicked back right as he's about to land all of his damage, but that's a massive shockwave out of Hood Boss. There's the shutdown. First kill picked up by Caitlyn in this one. Kialis has dropped as well, though. There's a lot of members of the Belgian team that are very low, but without Morsu there to clean up, it's all down to Hood Boss and Metalex. Brobro is chasing on as well, so can they land the damage? Very nice escape there by Socialmedia, but he eats a lot of auto attacks from Caitlyn as Brobro is chasing Iron Heat away from this one. It looks like they're just going to collapse around and try and pick up the kill.
That was a lot of sustain coming out of their Karma. Just about kept him going. But Brobro, with a little bit of help from Hood Boss in that last second shield, managed to finish him off. But there it is, despite that gold disadvantage, Dutch team easily picking up that fight, despite, in all fairness, being very, very split. The fact that Kha'Zix died very quickly without really hitting anyone important. He went onto that Aatrox and he's not killing that Aatrox. It's way too tanky for Kha'Zix to finish off. He then died very quickly after Lee Sin arrived and kept him split. Syndra had to use her ult on Aatrox and then flashed away and was basically not in the fight any longer. But Metalex stayed alive this time, and Metalex did a lot more damage than he has previously, and that really showed with the fact that everyone in the Belgium squad was more or less dead.
Yeah, and that overall, as we were saying, is how this is going to go for Belgium, but Kialis might be caught out here. VCOM Van does get stunned for his troubles, does not have that passive available. Socialmedia is trying to chase on towards
really nice play by Brobro.
Yes.
Dodging back in front of that Sonic Wave at the last second to keep Syndra alive. Do need to be careful they don't all base hope now that Baron is naked as far as they're concerned, and they know that the Belgium side are around there. Lucky for them, they're not doing it just yet. Oh, Skull with a nice smite over the wall to steal that blue wave, but that means the smite's down now, so they know they're not going to touch that Baron for a while because Brobro could just walk on in there and take it away. That does give Syndra a chance to back away, buy more wards, clean up her oracles, and it gives them a little bit of respite from that pressure.
Yeah, and again, now knowing that that smite's down, it means that if Belgium do, of course, well, they wouldn't go for that Baron, as you're saying, as the Netherlands could just walk in there, but the Netherlands have always got that option now of trying to out-rotate the Belgian team and take down that mid lane turret because it's so low. I guess it is about one hit from dead, so anytime that the Netherlands can sneak off around that way, they will be able to take down that tower and expose an inhibitor. And against a team like the Netherlands, who has that capacity to end up picking up these later team fights, as we saw, even without one of their carries, it's a pretty deadly situation to be in if you're Belgium. They are ahead still by about 7,000 gold, but they have to start closing this one out a little bit faster, one feels. Otherwise, the Netherlands might be able to keep chipping away at the lead that the Belgian team have.
And his Oracle's timed out. She needs to base and buy a new one, but she's doing on top of a ward, so Dutch team would know she's gone. And as you mentioned, that mid turret being so low, that's what the Dutch team have tried to do. They saw Belgium down in the Baron pit last time round, they knew they had no vision, so they backed her off one edge and started to fight them that way. Now, they pushed it up mid lane because they knew they'd hit that turret down and force Belgium in, but it does look like Socialmedia is overextended.
Yeah, he has Dragon's Rage, causes Morsu to get kicked back in towards some of his teammates, but Caitlyn just has too much damage even without that last Whispers. That actually opted for another BF sword, but Iron Heat will get taken down as well, and this might be the opening that the Netherlands need. Looks like they will swing down towards this Baron, and once again Socialmedia's smite is on cooldown, so he's been using it in this late game for situations that he may in fact need it for this Baron.
They can't do that Baron, as I said. There's still too much poke, too much damage over the wall, especially with that Aatrox and Varus combo. And Varus has so much damage because he's got nothing but attack damage items. He not built any attack speed whatsoever yet, and took them all very low with a very nasty placed piercing arrow. But it's another couple of quick kills that the Dutch team picked up on some important targets too. Caitlyn picked up a couple. Shyvana has the majority of their kills, which is not as bad as you'd think, considering how high her damage is right now and how important her tank is. They have no other tanky champions on their team. They're all very much assassins, so she needs to be as immovable as possible to stick to that Varus and really ruin his day, while Caitlyn does work on the rest of the Belgium squad, who don't have quite the same level of tank. Aatrox is trying to build some similar items, trying to stay alive for as long as possible, but he's still not quite as good at it as that dragon because of the resists she gets.
And 7-2 on Shyvana in this game, and that is a very tanky Shyvana right now, and can only imagine when the rest of our itemizations get finished, just how much of a raid boss Bro is going to end up being. But you can see how the vision has been peeled back from Belgium. Earlier in this game, they had full control over the lower side jungle for the Netherlands, but that does not exist for them anymore. The lights have gone out, and Belgium are now playing, even though they're ahead in goal, they are now playing somewhat from behind on the map control game, as waves have started to push in towards them, and the Netherlands really are starting to secure this map for themselves. And at this point in the game, the gold isn't really as important as it is in the early game. It's still a good indicator of who's ahead globally, but it is by no means a measure of which team will come out ahead. But Morsu does get spotted down in that bottom lane. That will instantly signal the Belgian team to start the the Baron, but Morsu is fairly fast at closing this gap. We'll see how fast they can take down this Baron, because here comes Metalex and Bro. They're looking to get in on this one. The Belgian team are quite stacked here. The ball is on top. Shockwave hits 4. That's what they were looking for all of this time. Can Kialis land a stun? Chains of Corruption will come out, locking onto Kialis. Bro is trying to chase on here as well, looking for that burnout, but Blades of Torment will slow him down. Safeguard brings Lee Sin back out of this fight. And there's the dissonance to speed Bro back into this when the stun finally lands from Kialis. Here comes Morsu. He's got a lot of damage now in this team. Falahid is going to get absolutely dropped under this tower, and that was the combination that the Netherlands had been looking for all game long.
It was a beautiful engage. They knew the Baron was started, but they could see its health almost the entire way and knew it wasn't very low. So they managed to rotate around perfectly and get a great 4-man Orianna on top. Metalax a little bit too deep. Passive is still there, so it's a bit risky. Forces the flash over the wall. He's going to try and follow it, but Lee Sin's still there too. There's a wall to pick on. Metalex will fall down as he's still very low, but Morsu's got a lot of damage. Not much health. He's being chased by fresh heat now and has to get on out of there. He will do. Hood Boss is still in that bush. Now he's been spotted, has to shield himself. I mean, he doesn't know quite what to do. But they're out. But again, they knew that Baron was being fought. They knew it wasn't going down very quickly, so they had the ward in there for a long time. And they realized, okay, we could go in and try and steal this, we could wait, but that's risky. When they're all grouped like that, we've got a beautiful ball delivery system, and we can land an amazing 4-man, almost 5-man Orianna ultimate and decimate this team. They did that very well. The chase was a little bit iffy. He left some to be left something to be desired, but it was a beautiful Cinder Stun over the wall onto Annie and Lee Sin that really allowed that to start and really allowed those to pick up. And with the recess from Annie, Kha'Zix was easily able to get into the back line and on top of that Varus and nuked through him. Kialis lost his life to Aatrox and Lee Sin for it because of where he was compared to the rest of his team, but in the trade for the kills that his stun landed, it was definitely worth it. Dutch team hung around a little bit longer and perhaps gave up a couple of kills that he didn't need to there. But again, showing how they have now become very, very strong despite what the gold is telling us. And the fact that it's still going longer means it's going to keep swinging further in their favour.
Yeah, Belgium will breathe a sigh of relief, however, that Baron, of course, wasn't able to be picked up, because that really would have been a difficult situation to come back when you take into account that mid lane pretty much could be dropped by a strong gust of wind right now. That a Baroned up Dutch team rotating around each lane would be very difficult to deal with. So now we go back to this position game establishing control of wards, peeling away your opponent's control of the map, and then pushing out lanes and trying to get as much control over the Baron pit as possible. Looks like the Netherlands might just call a bluff on this one and force their way into this middle lane. They are waiting on the minion wave, but with Caitlyn with that extra range, it is going to drop very quickly here if they can get themselves in front of it. Brobro is actually just going to face tank this one up. Metalex will drop it, but took a lot of damage from that one. Can they chase on towards his Chains of Corruption? Will whiff there. Don't quite land it, and Socialmedia maybe is looking to try and land a Sonic Wave, but he is not quite fast enough to get himself in position.
So they knew they were strong, they knew they could win fights if they played it properly. So they just thought, alright, we'll go down, we'll one hit that turret, and then we don't have that to worry about. We can just take a fight. Done. But that good, well-timed stun by Annie meant the Shyvana was very low before the tower died. And then getting a little bit out of position meant Aatrox nearly got the drop on him, so they couldn't quite take the fight as they wanted.
Uh-oh, I'm having deja vu on this one. Belgium looking to start Baron once again. I'm not sure this is the right call. They can't quite do it fast enough. Shockwave actually did not land like it did in the last fight, so this time the Netherlands aren't quite able to get that initial burst damage, but look at the low health already on the Belgian team. And the Netherlands are actually going to back out here and maybe rotate around towards that mid lane. This is giving Belgium the opportunity to recall out though, however, and the Netherlands might have found themselves a Socialmedia here.
They're looking for it, that's for sure. Trying to figure out where he's going. It was a less than wonderful Orianna role really in that fight. You look at the health of everyone on the Belgium side as they got away from it. If that Ori had hit, they'd have all been dead. But it stopped the Baron, that was the main thing, and then they forced a mass recall out of the Belgium side to go and save that inhibitor, so job done.
I kind of feel though that there was an opportunity missed maybe to end the game there by the Netherlands. I mean, we saw how it went last time when they landed that combination, but I guess the Netherlands feel confident that they really don't need
have
to
a role
force
that
it.
time because she had to use it to escape from the mid lane, to escape that Aatrox, so she couldn't get in there, couldn't be that delivery system, so Orianna couldn't get a ball as deep, and as a result the ultimate hit nothing.
Yeah, that is a really good point on that one, and it is back up and available now, and the Netherlands, I would imagine, have seen how these fights have gone, aren't really feeling like they needed to force anything there more than just stopping Belgium from doing the Baron. We're seeing Belgium really struggle with these later game team fights as to be expected, but Metalex has to be careful here. We'll use the 90 caliber net to just make the distance between the two teams a little bit larger. And Hoodboss has been caught out here. Socialmedia is fairly tanky, but the Netherlands team are all around. This is a really segmented team fight here as Metalex forced to deal with a Varus and an Aatrox. Meanwhile, Socialmedia will get taken down by Morsu, who has finally found himself kills and gone unstoppable. It looks like Belgium is starting to drop pretty low here. Kialis just dodges a piercing arrow. Varus gets jumped on by Morsu, who tries to get out as best as possible, but Belgium have just been shredded here and picked apart. And Aatrox jumps in towards Hoodboss, but Brobro is there. Shockwave will drop him down into the Bloodwell, and now they look to try and chase on. Kialis can't quite land the stun on that one, and Iapete is still on full health, and with the amount of damage from the build, they do have to be careful that they don't over-engage here into that Karma. Ooh, Kialis takes the inner flame on that one.
Sniped down by Karma. Metalex and Fallad dueled up there. Caitlyn versus Varus. Varus came out on top, so Metalex was dead very, very early on, but Morsu doing so much damage in there. He managed to start the fight by killing off that low health Lee Sin that was trying to escape. Did manage to get in around the backside and finish off Fallad had 2 as soon as he responded and returned around by that blue buff. Otherwise, that AD carry would have decimated the remaining members of the Dutch team. And managed to pop that Aatrox passive. Was a nice pick up for the Dutch team too, with the way he got a bit too greedy, chasing in onto Hoodboss, trying to pick up that Orianna kill on his own. But he did obviously get out blowing summoners afterwards. But again, the fact that they're now pulled up for the next fight is very good for the Dutch team.
Yeah, let's have a look. After being 0-2, maybe even 0-3 on Morsu, he's now at 6-3-4. Over 120 CS above the VCon fans, so this is that period of the game where Kha'Zix has been given kills now, and really is just able to stamp his impact onto these team fights. Once he starts getting those resets, he will do a good job of picking people off as they straggle around the edge of the fights. This gold has now closed to 1,000. As we said, scaling of the gold does get less and less throughout the game, but this is an indication just of how close this game has become now. Certainly the closest we've had all weekend, and that was to be expected from these two teams. That's why we picked this game to watch, because we thought it would definitely be the closest, and they might have actually caught out the VCOM fan, but this gets turned around as Brobro was out there on his own, as was Kialis, who used the unstoppable power, the unleashed power. They do land a lot of damage down to the chunk of the Belgian team there, and now they're trying to follow on. Metlex still at the back on full health, is managing to pick people up. Morsu will drop Varus into that Guardian Angel. That will be another kill for Hood Boss, and now they look to chase up the Void Spikes. Picks up the kill for the ace, and that was a good team fight there for the Netherlands.
Very, very nicely done. It didn't start out too wonderful with Cinder getting caught out, and with, to be honest, Robo going very, very deep onto the Aatrox after Caitlyn managed to spot out the rest of the Belgian team with a trap. It was very, very lucky. If she walked around that corner, she was dead. Instead, she dropped the trap from over the wall and spotted them. But Brobo went in a little bit deep, had to immediately run away pretty quickly with his tail between his legs. But on doing so, he managed to rotate around, get a great Dragon to send in a 5-man Oriana ultimate to make up for that one in the Baron pit. Pull them all together. They do it down incredibly low when the dissonance landed afterwards. And with another quick combination of AoE abilities, they were all in a very low position, allowed Morsu to leap on them, get many, many resets, do so much damage. So very nicely done with the snowball on the Kazakhs. He then managed to burst through that disengaging Varus, who was quite exposed by this point, because of losing his tanks. And, well, Metalex was there to clean up the rest with some very, very easy auto attacks.
And that was a great first game of the day. 50 minutes nearly on that one. And I believe we're going to get all the players ready, as this is a best of 3, so it's not all over yet for the Belgian team. The Netherlands do lead 1-0. We will be back with game number 2 shortly. We'll just get all the players into the lobby, and we'll be back with you with game number 2 from the IeSF 2013 World Championship.